Hello and welcome back to the Adventures by George channel. Now I am a big fan of the monorail, particularly the one at Walt Disney World. And although I've never ridden it, I'm also a fan of the Disneyland Monorail. You know, there's something special about them both that it just fascinates me. I'm not sure what it is. Maybe it's the futuristic look, or maybe it's the fact that it goes through different buildings, or that it's up on a huge rail. I don't know. I just love it. They're awesome. Now, I've studied the Disneyland monorail using Google Maps, YouTube videos, and such like that, and some things really just do not make sense to me. For example, why is the route so convoluted? It makes this really inefficient figure 8 motion over here over Autopia, and it just drives me crazy. It's like, why is this such a mess? Also, there's only 2 stops. Really? There's one over here in downtown Disney, and there's one over here in Tomorrowland. I don't get it. Why? How is it helping your guests if you only have 2 stops? And lastly, the other thing that baffles me about the monorail is, why does it pass in front of the Matterhorn here? To me, that just breaks the illusion of a Swiss mountaintop, unless they have monorails that travel in front of the Swiss Alps or something. I don't know. To me, that just makes no sense, especially from a Disney perspective. Now, the Walt Disney World monorail is used primarily for transportation, and it's not really an attraction, so I guess that's why this design is a little bit more elaborate. So with all that in mind, I started thinking about how could Disneyland's monorail be made better? And I have a couple of ideas that I'd like to share. First, let's cover the current route of the monorail. Let's start over here in downtown Disney, and here's the monorail station, and it's going to travel northwards for a moment, then it's going to turn to the east, and then travel south, and it's going to follow along this track right here for a while. Makes this little weird bump right here, and then it's going to pass directly in front of Disneyland, and then it's going to pass right by the bus drop-off stations here, and then it's going to continue on traveling north past and behind Tomorrowland, and it's going to travel north a little bit more, and then it's going to go over Autopia here and do this weird figure 8 loop-de-loop like this, and then it's going to come back again, and then it's going to travel up to the north, and then it's going to head to the southwest a little bit, passing right by the Matterhorn again. Why do we need to see a monorail passing in front of the Swiss mountaintop? I don't know. And then it's going to come up here and stop at the Tomorrowland station, which is right in front of the Nemo submarines. And then after it picks up some guests, it's going to travel southbound, heading past this road. Continuing on, and then it's going to go into Disney's California Adventure, pass right over the main thoroughfare right here, continue on past Soarin', and then it's going to go through the Grand Californian Resort, which I don't think it makes a stop here. If it does, please correct me. But yeah, it goes right through the Grand Californian, and then it goes up here, heads north again, and then it ends up right back where we started at downtown Disney. Now, I understand that Disney has some plans for the Tomorrowland area, but I would just like to add a few of my own ideas, just in case they haven't come up with them, which I'm sure they haven't. Now, the first thing I'm going to propose might be slightly controversial, because I know a lot of Disneyland fans love this attraction, but I'm sorry, but the People Mover track has to go. Now, I'm really sorry, but unfortunately, this attraction is just never gonna come back. And one of the reasons why is because the rocket rods caused a lot of structural damage to the track. So really, the only thing that Disney can do at this point is to tear it out. So unfortunately, yeah, it's just gonna have to go. I mean, it's been 20 years and it's just sitting there doing nothing. It's just a huge eyesore, and yeah, it needs to go. So that would mean that over Autopia, taking out all of the People Mover track that's going through that, clear all this clutter up, get rid of this track that's going over Autopia too. I don't know about this track. It could probably stay and be used for different shows and things like that. I think they've used it like that in the past. But this right here in particular has to go, especially with the idea that I have for the new monorail path. This here, I don't think is even being used. I think that's what was the Star Jets, the equivalent in Florida. I don't know what they're called, but it's the circular rocket, maybe the rocket jets. And I think that attraction has actually been moved over to here. And this here is just all abandoned, especially this track right here, which again, I feel that just needs to go. Okay, so yeah, I'm really sorry about the fact that the People Mover is never coming back, but that's just the reality of it at this point. Now let's talk about some of the ideas that I had to reroute the monorail and have it make a little bit more sense. First of all, Disney could kind of cheap out and just do something simple like this and remove this loop-de-loop that goes through Autopia. And all they'd have to do is make a quick little jump from this point to this point, and you could eliminate all this excess travel that the monorail takes. But my preferred route would be something like this. Because we've already taken out the People Mover track, this whole section right here is now available. And that means you could reroute the monorail to travel through Tomorrowland, giving it that life that I think it's been missing ever since the People Mover disappeared. So for my proposal, the track would go like this. It'd go up here and make a turn to the west, traveling past the Star Wars launch bay, and then it would turn and go directly down the center of Tomorrowland, and then it would have to make a turn right over here. It would have to pass by the Matterhorn, but as you can see with my proposal, the track doesn't go in front of the Matterhorn anymore, breaking that illusion. The only issue I could see with this particular track is that this, whatever the rocket jets here, they'd have to be moved. But you know, that should be a very simple thing to do, I would think. But as you can see, this path would give it a little bit more energy to Tomorrowland, something I think has been missing for a long time. One of the things I enjoy a lot about Epcot Center is that you can see the monorail traveling through what was called Future World at the time. So it always gave it a feeling of this is alive, it's exuberant, it's moving, it's, you know, it gives you something to look at as you're walking through the park. And I think doing this route would bring life back to Disneyland's Tomorrowland. After it makes that turn, it would just go back into the station and then travel on back down south again. And that would clear up all this Autopia nonsense that's just cluttering up the view of the Autopia drivers. Next, we need to make the monorail a little bit more functional, and by that I mean add a few more monorail stations. Right now you've only got two. You've got the one over here in downtown Disney, and you got the one over here in Tomorrowland. That doesn't really make it usable for a lot of people, I wouldn't think. So first of all, my proposal would be to alter the routes coming out of downtown Disney, and instead of having it do this turn and just go back to the park, we're going to make it go northbound a little bit more, and it's going to travel up this way, over this parking lot, over these little parking booths. I think that would be kind of cool to have it go over the parking booths, and make this turn and then come up here to a new monorail station that could be built right in front of the parking structure that's there. And so the people that are coming out of this the UFO thing right here would come across, and boom, they're right there in a monorail station, which they can hop on and travel straight down southbound again, traveling down, and it would reconnect back into the existing track again. And I think with the most recent issues where Disneyland did not have the trams running, this would be a welcome addition for folks to, you know, not have to walk, I don't know, what is it, like a mile and a half to get to the front of the park now? Of course, I think the trams are back, so that's kind of a moot point, but still, I think it would be so incredibly awesome to have a monorail station right there next to the parking structure. In addition to that, I feel that they need to add a new monorail station out towards the front of the parks so that anyone getting off could either go into Disneyland or go into DCA. Right now, the only other stop is inside of Disneyland, which doesn't make it very useful for folks that just want to go to California Adventure. And of course, I got my little ramp drawn right here, so they'd get off and just walk down this ramp, and boom, they're right here in the, I think this is called the Esplanade. I believe that's what this is called. And then they can go, again, they could go to either California Adventure or to Disneyland. So again, I'm sure that Disney has their own plans for Tomorrowland, but I feel like a few of these small changes, A, need to be done, and B, would make the monorail a little bit more functional and useful for folks. So anyway, I hope I didn't offend the Disneyland stalwarts too much, but I hope you can see how this could improve the Disneyland monorail. If you have any comments or suggestions, please leave them down below. I really appreciate you watching. Thank you, take care, and we'll see you again next time. Bye bye everybody.